Day 330 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 2053, kth distinct string in an array. The difficulty level is easy, but you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. Now, before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now, let's see what the question says. A distinct string is a string that is present only once in an array. Given an array of strings R and an integer k, return the kth distinct string present in R. If there are fewer than k distinct strings, return an empty string. Note that the strings are considered in the order in which they appear in the array. All right, y'all. So that may seem a little confusing at first, so let's go ahead and take a look at these examples so we can make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have the input R equals an array of strings D, B, C, B, C, and A. K equals 2. So that means we want to find the second distinct string. The explanation or the output says that second distinct string is A, and the explanation says the only distinct strings in R are D and A. D appears first, so it is the first distinct string. A appears second, so it is the second distinct string. Since K equals 2, A is returned. So let's go through this just to make sure we understand what's going on here. So we have an array of strings. We want to find the distinct strings, right? And the distinct string is a string that is only present once in the array. So as you can see, D is only here. We only have D once and we only have A once. Because as you can see, we have B right here and B right here. That means B is not distinct. And we have C right here and C right here. That means C is not distinct because both of those strings appear more than once. The only strings that appear once are D and A. And since K equals 2, we want to find the second distinct string. And since D appears first, that means it's the first distinct string. And since A appears second, that means A is the second distinct string when we're reading from left to right. So that is why we're returning A, because it is the second distinct string out of this array of strings. So I hope that made sense to y'all. Let's go ahead and take a look at example 2 just to really make it make sense, just in case you're still not understanding. So in example 2, we have the input R equals an array of strings AAA, AA, and A. This time K equals 1 and the output is AAA. Explanation says all strings in the R are distinct, so the first string AAA is returned. So as you can see in this array of strings, every string in here is distinct. Every string in here only appears once. The string AAA only appears once, the string AA only appears once, and the string A only appears once. But since K equals 1, we want the first one when we're reading from left to right again, right? So since AAA is the first distinct string that we come across, that's what we're going to return because A equals 1. Because K equals 1, so we want the first distinct string that we see, and in this case it's AAA, so the output is AAA. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at example 3 where there are no distinct strings, or there's not enough distinct strings, I should say. So in example 3, we have R equals an array of strings A, B, and A. This time K equals 3, the output is a blank string. Explanation says the only distinct string is B. Since there are fewer than 3 distinct strings, we return an empty string. So as you can see in this array, B is the only distinct string because there's an A string right here and there's an A string right here. So we know A is not a distinct string. Then we have B, there's only one B string, so we know B is distinct. But we want the third distinct string, right? Because K equals 3. And since we want a third distinct string, but there is no third distinct string, there's only one distinct string. There are not enough distinct strings to equal up to 3. So we return a blank array because there is no third distinct string. There's only the first distinct string. That's the only distinct string. There's no second distinct string. There's no third distinct string. There's no fourth distinct string, and so on and so on. So we return a blank string since we cannot find, or the third distinct string does not exist. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Once again, the solution is not that difficult at all. We're going to be using a dictionary to solve this problem, so let's get into it. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to create the dictionary, which will store the frequency of each string. So in order to do this, we'll declare a variable, call it dict, and we'll set that equal to a dictionary. So open up the square bracket, and it'll be string :int. So the string is the key, this int is the value. The key or the string is going to represent each string that we see, and then the int is going to represent how many times we see that string. So for example, if for string in example 1, string might say string is B, then the int will be 2. We'll store the 2 right here, so it will be the B string and then 2 because there are 2 B strings in this array. Boom. And same with C. If it was C, then we keep count right here and there'll be 2 C's. Or if it was D or A, we put D, it'd be a D string right here and it'd be a 1 right here since there's only one D, or A right here and a 1 right here since there's only one A. And this is just the default. This is just how we're going to store them. I just want y'all to understand how these dictionaries work in this case. Then, so after we create our dictionary that we're going to store the frequency of each string in, we need a counter to track the number of distinct elements encountered. So in order to do that, we'll just declare a variable called count, and we'll set that equal to 0 just to start. Now, we need to populate the dictionary with the frequency of each word in the array. So in order to do that, we could just say r.forEach, then we'll open up the parentheses, open up the brackets, and we'll say dict, open up the square brackets, we'll say $0. So this $0 is going to represent each string in R, and each one of the R's, or in R, sorry. And then this is going to represent each string in R, and then we'll come over here and we're going to set a default value, default :0. So initially, each string is going to, remember, it's going to be a string, and it's going to be how many times that string occurs. So this is going to represent each string. We're going to set those values to 0, but each time that we come across that string, then we need to increment the count. So in order to do that, we could say plus equals 1, just like that, and that's going to add 1 to this default value every time we see a string or the similar string. Boom. Now we need to iterate through the array to find the kth distinct string. So in order to do that, we can come right here. We'll say for word in R. I'm going to open up the brackets. We'll say if dict square bracket word equal 1, equal sign 1, then this is going to check if the word appears only once, and then we're going to increment the count of distinct words. So we're going to come right here, we're going to say count plus equals 1, just like that. Then we're going to come right here underneath that if, and we're going to say if count equals k. We're going to open up the brackets, and that means we found a kth distinct word and we need to return it. So we could just say return word. Boom. Now, if there is no kth distinct string, remember we still have to return a blank string. So if we go through all of this, and we find out that there is no kth string, then we just have to return a blank string, just like that. Now that should be all she wrote, y'all. Let's go ahead and give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. And it's accepted, y'all. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it stays accepted after we submit it. Let's see. 3 milliseconds be 60% of users with Swift. Not too bad. We could get those numbers up as we continue down our LeetCode journey. Right now, we just want to be able to solve the problem that is presented to us. And I feel like this is a good, simple, and easy solution to understand, especially as we're trying to learn hash maps and dictionaries and how they work. This is a good problem for that. This is a good solution for that, because it helps and makes understanding how dictionaries work a little bit more simpler, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.